Let me explain something real quick to y'all. I know that some of y'all are so dense that you're still not going to get it, but I'm going to try it anyway. My issue is with white supremacy and white supremacy culture, okay? That is my issue. It is not white people, okay? But I know that a lot of y'all white people cannot distinguish or separate yourselves from white supremacy because it is your culture. So when someone attacks white supremacy, you take it as an attack on white people as a whole. And it's very, very telling because that lets me know what I already know, which is y'all don't separate it. And that's y'all religion, basically. Your religion is white supremacy. You practice it, you live it, you breathe it, and you pass it down to your goddamn kids. So to all of you who keep saying, she's racist, she hates white people. I hate white supremacy. Period. So if the shoe fits, you can wear it. All right? I don't give a damn because I'm not sparing no feelings. But I just figured I would make that clear. But once again, like I've said continuously before, I understand that most of y'all have a third grade education and you still won't get it. But, yeah.
I knew it. I knew it was only a matter of time before this little rat crawled out of his hole and exposed himself. It took a little while longer than I expected, but we finally smoked him out. Sade Perkins' husband has now spoken out, not publicly to the masses. No, he is speaking out about the situation involving his wife. He is speaking out to his congregation. And just as I suspected, he fully backs what his wife is saying. In fact, in front of his church, he is making excuses for what his wife said. He is blaming white supremacy. He's blaming Donald Trump. He's blaming Republicans. He's blaming anyone and everyone except for his wife. And I really, really felt passionately about this. This is why I've been telling you guys that I fully believe that he is aligned with Sade's talking points. And the reason why I kept hammering that home in every video I made about this lunatic is because I knew that this little freaking rat would eventually weasel his way out here and say some totally woke and disgusting nonsense. Because just to look at the church that he works at, these are not Christians, folks. These are social justice warriors. These are activists pretending to be Christian. These people basically, they trick weak and vulnerable people into coming into their church, and then they pump them with all types of propaganda. His sermons aren't much about Jesus, which, by the way, his wife, Sade, said that she doesn't believe in God. She attacks Christians all the time on social media. And I don't know if you guys have seen my last couple of videos. They got like pictures of what appears to be Satan hanging on their wall. Demonic devil masks hanging on their wall. This guy is far from holy. This guy is far from spiritual. He is so far from being Christian. And that's why it's so disgusting to me. I am accepting of people having different viewpoints. If these are your religious beliefs, or if those are your religious beliefs, that's fine. What I do not accept is people who pretend to be something in order to con people, in order to trick people, in order to drag people down a path that they weren't supposed to go down. And that's what Sade's husband does. And folks, I have a little clip for you all from one of his recent sermons. And within this little clip, he says everything that you need to hear that will let you know everything you need to know about this guy. I mean, it's so disgusting to me. That fake Christian, real Christian, whatever. It's disgusting to me that we got people out here in churches delivering sermons to people knowing that they are happy about a bunch of little kids dying in a flood. It's disgusting that this guy is still allowed to go speak in front of his church knowing that him and his wife go on date nights. Cheers! And they celebrate when little white girls get killed in floods. It's gross. But unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation that we're looking at. So without further ado, let me go ahead and show you the clip so you guys can see it for yourself. And then I'll be right back with more.
I want to remind you that everything that has happened has taken place within a much larger, difficult context. That context should not be primarily about comments someone made on social media. It should be about the ways in which government policy and the leadership of Camp Mystic created a situation where a flash flood killed so many. It should be about the power of right-wing media to mobilize a mob capable of unrelentingly targeting individuals and institutions, including the institution of our church. It should be about how structures of white supremacy endanger some while promising others safety. We live at a moment when the most powerful amongst us are taking hateful actions and making hateful statements with little consequence.
Now, when you hear him talk, do you guys understand why I've been saying all of this stuff about him the entire time? I don't know if you all saw my last couple of videos about this topic, but I was trying to tell you guys that the stuff that Sade Perkins is saying, she's not smart enough to formulate these thoughts or concepts on her own. As bogus and as ridiculous as they are, she's still not capable of formulating this stuff in her own brain. She's getting these talking points from hubby, okay? So when you see her go on TikTok and attack these kids or attack those kids, understand that she's using the language that she got from her husband. She's using the talking points that she got from her husband, folks. Okay? And just like Sade, this man is out here promoting that victimhood complex, that victimhood mentality, acting as if, oh my God, it's everyone else's fault about what's going on right now. No one would know he existed. No one would know his wife existed. No one would know about his church. And when I say no one, I mean people in the outside world, outside of their community. No one would know of these people. They put themselves on the map. They put a spotlight on themselves. And when people say mean things about them, it's warranted. They deserve it. Because they took it upon themselves to get on the internet spreading a bunch of hateful stuff about kids that just died in a flood. But just like Sade has been doing in all of her videos, her husband is going to church in front of his woke weirdo congregation, and instead of accepting accountability for what his wife said, instead of denouncing what she said, instead of letting people know that that is not okay, he's pretending to be a victim. He's pretending his wife is a victim. He's pretending that his church are the victims of right-wing attacks. He's gaslighting the people that go to his church into believing that they're all being targeted by evil right-wing white supremacists It's crazy. And I feel terrible for the people that go to his church. I think that you got to be in a weird place in your mind to go to a church like that anyway. You got to have a weird way of thinking. But regardless, my heart still goes out to these people because I believe that some of these people are probably going to this church thinking that they're doing right. Maybe they're trying to find God. Maybe they're trying to have a tighter bond with Jesus or whatever they're in search of. Whatever they're in search of, though, I don't think they're going to get at that church. They're going to get brainwashed by the same nonsense that you just heard. And we only heard a minute of it, folks. We only heard 1 minute, and that was enough for me. That was enough for me. It tells me everything I need to know about him. It tells me everything I need to know about this situation. And like I said, the gaslighting is disgusting. It's disgusting to sit up here and act like, oh, woe is me. Everyone else is bad and racist and everyone's white supremacist because your black wife got on TikTok and decided to attack a bunch of white girls that died in a flood. So the mentality that we're seeing from Sade, her husband 100% shares that mentality, except he's way worse. He's way worse because he's a minister. He has influence over other people. Ministers, preachers, spiritual leaders, they have a lot of influence over other people's lives, over other people's decisions, over the way other people think. So we could look at Sade and we can make fun of her. We could point the finger. We could laugh. We could talk about how stupid she is. We could talk about how disgusting all of the stuff that she says is. At the end of the day, Sade doesn't really have any power. She doesn't have any power. Her husband does, though. When you're a leader of a church, you have power. It might not be limitless, unlimited power, but you have power at least over some of the people in your church. So it's scary to think about the fact that this church that her husband presides over, they're producing people just like Sade Perkins. There are little kids going to this church that are being indoctrinated by this nonsense that are going to grow up with the mentality of Sade Perkins. If you think that her, or if you think that she is bad, think about the fact that you got dozens. I don't even know how many people go to this church, but at the very least, you got dozens of people who are being molded by Sade's creepy, woke, fake Christian husband. Their minds, their ways of thinking, their hearts, their spirits are being molded by this guy. And he's producing other psychopaths just like his wife. And like I said, opposing viewpoints, I'm okay with that. You having these beliefs, those beliefs, I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with someone pretending to be Christian while promoting, celebrating when little kids get killed. I'm not okay with that. I will never be okay with that. No one should be okay with that. And if something like this was going on 20 or 30 years ago, it would be a huge deal. People would not allow this. People would not accept this. But in 2025, it's kind of just like, oh, okay. This is kind of run-of-the-mill, normal stuff these days. And that's sad. But that's why our society is just further decaying and going to crap. Because people like Sade and people like her husband are infiltrating into government, into religion, into politics, into entertainment, in every field you could think of. Everything that you could think of is being infiltrated by people that think like this. And that's why I've decided that I'm not going to ignore stuff like this. I'm going to call out the anti-white hatred that is being promoted by people online, by our politicians, by Christian, fake Christian leaders like Sade's husband. I'm going to continue calling this stuff out every step of the way because it's getting really, really bad. And there's too many people still afraid to speak out. But you see people like Sade and her husband who believe all of this crazy, wild, evil nonsense. They're not afraid to speak out. He got in front of his church and with his whole chest defended his wife, celebrating the death of little girls, calling them cunts, saying that she wishes more white girls would die and wash away. He fully got on the stand, or not the stand, it's not court, but he got up there and with his full chest supported that in front of his church. So if people like that are not scared, if they're not silent, if they're ready and willing to promote their whacked out ways of thinking, then normal, decent people like me and you got to start calling this stuff out. We can't let this stuff slide. I refuse to let it slide. But for now, you go ahead and slide down into the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, all of that good stuff. And I'll talk to you all in the next one.